Hello, how are you, Leah?
I'm good, Nat. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be a good one. I've already got quite a lot of questions for you from people who've submitted them on Instagram. So we'll get to that later. So thank you for those of you who are joining us either live. I know some of you are going to join live or on the replay. If you have any questions, just comment and we will do our best to answer them for you. But let's get started. Leah, tell us a bit about yourself. So you are a recruiter in Adelaide, right?
I am. So my name is Leah Baylis. I run a recruitment company here in Adelaide called Champagne Recruitment. The reason why I chose the name Champagne Recruitment because I really love the fact that we celebrate those wins. And in recruitment, when somebody gets a job, it is a win for the candidate and it's a win for the client. So wanted to make it a real celebration. So started 2.5 years ago now. With my background, I actually started my career off as a teacher. So I taught year 11 and 12 students at a trade and apprenticeship college. Which was really cool. So I taught, how to write a CV, how to prep for work, even when it came to literacy and numeracy within specific trade groups, and then supported them in moving into employment. So that kind of got me on the road to recruitment.
Yeah, great. That's great. That's cool. That's similar to what I did actually with a different organization. So know that well. That's really it's good skills to have so you understand the client perspective as well as the business perspective.
Absolutely.
And so what do you hire? Do you recruit for all industries or only specific type of industries?
I've worked across a wide range of industries here in Adelaide. So I'm not industry specific, but more so the roles that I do work across are more of your office support professional and exec space. So I work with a lot of front house administrators, EAs, PAs, moving on up to finance roles, as well as legal and medical too. So it's quite a diverse range of roles that I do work across, but across the different industries that we have here.
And in Adelaide only or throughout South Australia?
At the moment, it's only in Adelaide. Haven't been. One or two have come up regionally, but it's more so Adelaide and the Greater Adelaide area.
Perfect. Okay, just so that we know all of that. So what Leah is going to talk about today is the booming industries in 2024. So what industries are going to be in demand in 2024? And I guess later on, I'm going to ask you how we can prepare. How can candidates prepare for those industries? So would you like to tell us a bit about what's going to be in demand first?
It is. It's real interesting because I guess each year brings its own set of challenges, and we can, in our own recruitment world or in our jobs world, is try to plan as much as possible. I guess one thing to note is that this year in 2023, there's a statistic, and how accurate it is, but they're saying 36% of occupations where experience a labour shortage here in Australia. So, that's a really interesting statistic to look at. And once we break that down into those industries, we can really see that predominantly healthcare and those workers. So when you're looking at your nurses, your doctors, even your social assistants too. So GPs, anything within that medical industry, even when it comes to the receptionists, EAs, PAs, within that medical field, it's a real challenge to fill those positions. And I guess it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand why that's happened, but it is one of those areas that if you are really looking to break in and you do have the skill set of working within the medical industry, or you've that could be a really good breaking point to get in. And on the flip side to that, well, not on the flip side, but another area is education. That is a huge area where people are really struggling to find staff, from your ELC through to your teachers' aides, your educators. That's really, really struggling at the moment. So they're two of those areas.
Okay, okay, that's good. So when we talk about healthcare and education,
Yes.
I guess, as you said, that would be support staff as well.
Yes.
So
Yes, absolutely.
customer service, receptionists within schools, teachers' aides, allied support, that type of thing as well. So if someone is in Australia and they haven't, they don't have the Australian qualification. So as we know, Australian businesses really, really value Australian qualifications, even if people have got overseas qualifications. What can they do?
So I guess if we take a step back, the reason why they do want Australian experience, so let's maybe look at that. And it is looking at the familiarity of Australian work practices.
Yeah.
So, you know, having an understanding of maybe there's, you know, certain procedures or policies, that is a driving, that's what I see from my meetings, that is a huge thing. Networks, having those connections, wanting somebody who can really just, I think the issue is that we are in such a labour shortage, is that in our businesses at the moment, people are so time poor and they're stretched. And so for them to take on somebody and have to train them up is something that some employers don't have the time for, or don't feel that they have the time for, which is extremely frustrating for people who are wanting to break into industry.
Absolutely. And this isn't just about healthcare and education, just like across every industry. That frustrates me as well, because I know how skilled my clients are, as an example. So I work with people who are highly skilled, highly educated, and they find it really difficult to find a job in Australia, even at an entry-level position, when they've worked in, you know, a mid-level or senior sometimes position in their home country. So the training would be almost nothing, you know?
Oh, no, 100%.
What can they do to help an employer see that it's not going to be a problem, that they can learn? They do have the capacity to learn, to develop, to spend time on their own, to use their initiative. What can they do in the application process?
Well, I guess even also one thing that I'm a huge advocate for is networking, and it's really important to get out and find those networking groups, especially if you've got certain experience in industries. You can find those networking groups that maybe are affiliated to the industry that you're most connected with, and try to get in front of people. I often find that a piece of paper, yes, you can put down whatever you like, but until you get in front of somebody's face and they make that connection with you is when you can really get in. And I know that's easier said than done, but if you do have the ability all the time to be able to do that, that is huge. Same when it comes to your CV and your cover letter as well, is really breaking it down. And even if you do need to get that support from a professional to really break down what your skill set is and the difference that you've made, or if there's examples of projects, then I think that's highly beneficial for a small price.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I do with my private clients and my clients, is I do try and get the examples and the projects and the achievements out. But I always say to them as well, is like a resume is almost the very first step.
Yeah, it is.
It's resume, but you still need to make the effort in networking and communication. And as a recruiter, what would your opinion be? This might be one of these questions I'm throwing at you. I said I wouldn't do. What would your opinion be about using LinkedIn? So, for example, a strategy that I sometimes try to get my clients to do is to, upon submitting the application, would connect on LinkedIn and then say, "Hi, I've submitted application number."
Perfect.
Connect.
Absolutely.
And then following up as well. So
absolutely. And that's like almost what I'm saying is making that connection, and that can be an one small element that you do actually show interest. It's not just a flick.
Yeah.
I call it a CV flick. It's not just that. It's actually, I really want to work for you. This is the reason why. Here I am, my application. Do you have some time to chat further?
Yeah. And what if people don't get any response? It's just a bad sign. It's just like, it's just, oh dear, you've got nothing. You've not lost anything.
Yeah.
It's just that happens to be the situation a lot of the time at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, does it just come down to being time poor, having busy workplaces?
Oh, I think it's a bit of everything. You know, there's some candidates who come to me and will say they've sent off 160 applications and have got not one feedback, not even, you know, recognition of acceptance. I think one good thing, and I'm going to, you know, talk up the recruitment world here. If you do get access to a recruitment agency, use it. You know, to have that middle, I call myself that middle person, that can really be a strong support for people who are struggling to find work. We can really be a strong advocate for you in putting work, your name forward to businesses. And there's even that opportunity through recruitment companies is that the beauty about us is that we do have connections with employers. So we can say, look, we've met this person, this is their skill set, we think that they'll be a great fit for you. Yeah. Can you meet with them? So that is, you know, so you're not doing it on your own all the time and becoming so disheartened. It is sometimes a good, you know, something to have on the side as well to support you through your job search.
Okay, that's great. And the question about working with recruiters in that case, because sometimes recruiters, not you, because I saw on the website that you're human-centered, like you are about the people, but sometimes they'd have the first interview as an example, but they wouldn't hear from them again.
Yeah.
So is it the candidate's responsibility to contact you regularly? What's the relationship like, or does it depend on the person?
I think it depends on the person. It depends on the recruitment agency. Like, I have people who will come to me and they may be more so looking for hospitality work or retail work, and they're not the particular roles that I work with. So in those type of candidates, I'll say, look, I'll leave you on my database, because you never know. There could be a time where someone will say, look, Leah, we need somebody. Have you got anyone on your books? So I think it's using the recruiter that's best fit for your career and what you're looking for as well. But it's always, you know, some of us have, you know, thousands of people on our books. So making those touch points can sometimes be helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense, and probably that's why it's better to use a smaller boutique agency rather than one of the bigger ones, because, you know,
I think it depends on the work that you're looking for as well, and and as you're saying, it can also be a smaller pool as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so just a couple more questions. So Prasad has got questions here. He's just typed them in, and then I've got some questions from people. So Prasad says, I've got about 10 years experience in CX and CS and recently completed an MBA in Adelaide. So he's in Adelaide. It's non-Cricos, hence need to look for sponsorship. So it's what would be your advice? He's also said that he commonly hears that he should apply for contract and temporary jobs compared to permanent roles. And what is your opinion on that? So just to say, when it comes to sponsorship jobs, it's usually a migration agent that you do need to speak to, because recruiters, they don't find sponsorship for you. They just help you with a job on the understanding that you already have a work visa. So any guidance that Leah can give you, it's kind of it's a little bit general until you do have the visa. Okay.
But Prasad, if you are looking for a really good migration lawyer here in Adelaide, I've got a really great connection who would be more than happy to refer you to. But on the flip side, that contract and the temp roles are a great opportunity. Same, you know, even if you do have the opportunity to do an internship, I know it's not ideal, but at least I think the whole point is trying to get that Australian experience on your CV, just to get that in there. And an internship can be a really good opportunity, as well as the contract and perm roles too.
Absolutely. And in terms of the sponsorship job as well. It depends on the industry where the skills are needed as well. So yeah, I have a migration agent, and I've got no affiliations, and so does Leah in Adelaide. So she can pass you the details on. Maybe she can comment later if she has time. But yeah, it's a very specific case for you, Prasad. But yeah, as Leah said, contract, internship, volunteer jobs, all of the juicy experience.
And the other thing, I'm sorry to cut in, but the one good thing about it as well is that that's when you start to build your connections as well. Yeah. And it's then, the people talk. And so it's like, oh, I had this great person, or I heard that this employer's hiring at the moment and referring them on. So it's just getting, even though it's not ideal, it's just getting in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Leah, I'm just going to ask, is everything okay with your phone? It's not your kid's school or anything,
is it? No, I hope not. No, I think we're all good. So I'm
okay, I just wanted to check in case you were like just ignoring it. Like, if it's an emergency, please just go. All right, go. So going back to the in-demand industry, so we've got education and healthcare. What other industries are going to be effective?
Absolutely. So we're looking at construction as well. So your construction managers, your trades are huge. Construction, your plumbers, they're really in-demand industries as well. IT, you're looking at your programmers. We're so understaffed when it comes to finding certain areas within the IT cybersecurity industry, but it's a real challenge because you do need to have those qualifications, those clearances, and the Defence Force are always crying out, but you need to be an Australian citizen in order to get into that area too.
Yeah, that's what so I've had quite a few people looking for IT jobs, but they're finding it very difficult to actually get to the interview stage.
Yes.
So would you say IT is an industry where they really want the Australian experience?
They do. They do. And a lot of employers do have that preference. Another thing I would say is have the confidence, and I know it's easier said than done, but have the confidence to approach the companies that you would love to work for. It's one of the questions I always ask when I have initial interviews with my candidates is, have you actually thought about places where you would love to work? Let's sit down and have a bit of a look about, okay, well, this is where you want to work, it's achievable for you to travel to. Let's look at businesses in that area and let's call them, let's approach them, and let's see if they've got that opportunity for you to step in, and even if it is on a casual basis or just for an initial meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a good option too.
That's great. And you're right, it's about confidence, isn't it? Because that's something I try and get people to do, but there's always a bit of a barrier there. People never seem to want to do it because it's a bit of a scary thing to do. So a recruiter's telling you to do it as well. So targeting your dream jobs there.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think once a lot of my candidates, my migrant candidates who come and speak to me, they often, the confidence comes from a lack of, they're worried about their verbal ability and how, that they're going to be taken. And I think that's a real challenge as well, which can also automatically put a barrier up. So continuing to go to networking events or continuing to put yourself out in front of people will help with that confidence as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, 100%. And one of the questions, so I've had two questions. The first question is about local experience, which we have touched on.
Yeah.
And the question was specifically, how do you get the local experience when an employer won't train you? So it's like the circle of, you can't get the local experience because you can't get the job. So how do you actually get that first local experience in your profession?
And I think it also depends on if there's the opportunity for you to become upskilled in a certain area. So to get a qualification that is Australian based as well. So, if you want to get into administration, there are courses where you can do, maybe a course in business administration. And a part of that is, that work experience that you can put on your CV. I know it's really hard because a lot of people just want to push straight into work and don't potentially have that financial luxury of studying. And so I do appreciate that. But it could just be a short course that will help you to get your foot in the door. But don't give up. Not every employer isn't going to not give you experience. It's that continuous support. And this is where, if you need to outsource, and if you do need somebody to help you write a CV, if you do need to see a recruiter just to help you push through those barriers a little bit harder, then there might just be an option for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just talking about upskilling, I'll put the links when I put the replay, but TAFE have just, are you going to, so TAFE have just released information about some fee-free courses that's going to be available next year. Some of them will be available to visa holders, and it's in line with the industries that's in demand. So not just doctors and nurses, because I realize obviously you need more than TAFE, but it will be the support services. So if you are struggling, you might want to take Leah's advice about getting an Australian qualification and looking at the free TAFE courses that are enrolling next year. And it will be different in the different states as well, because obviously the skills shortages are different in the different states.
Yeah. Well, we've just released here a free diploma of nursing through TAFE for next year. So, so South Australians, if you're looking to break into the medical, that is a really good option as well. I haven't had a chance to look at what the criteria is, but I'm sure that would be an option for people. So that's a good one.
Another website that I always suggest is Future Learn. And that's, it's not a TAFE, it's not accredited, but for those of you who are working or trying to find jobs in IT, in marketing, in, Java and data, in finance, accounting, they still really value upskilling and professional development. So Future Learn and Coursera, they have free courses, which are modules from universities. So you can add those to your resume as well. And so just to summarize, the reasons why employers want Australian experience, Leah.
Well, I guess it's familiarity with your work environment. It's not having the networks, and it's also that reduced training time. So they don't have that luxury to train anymore. So they're the three areas that why they are truly looking for that local experience.
Yeah. And is there anything that a candidate can do to show that they have that it's not going to be a problem?
That they do have it. It's absolutely through your CV. It's giving those specific examples. Use the correct terminology, or if you know that you do need to upskill, that you're willing to undertake that training to meet the criteria of the position as well. It's being really transparent about your skills and giving those firm examples. I think that's probably a really key takeaway. Don't make your CV 10 pages long. They're not going to look at it, but it's taking a few really key dot points and what your skill set actually is and how it can be a benefit to the employer. It can be really good. Read the position descriptions very carefully.
I said that all. I bang on about that all the time. The advert is the key information you need for every stage. And just talking about, so I've just had 2 clients who've got jobs really quickly. And the same thing that they had in common was that, and it's not to sell my services, you can go to anyone, but I help them with their resume. I do a coaching where we write it together, but their resume was very focused on their value to an employer with examples, with achievements, with showing exactly how they have skills. And it was very, very customized to their industry.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
That. So it really does help if you take the time on an application. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%, and that's a blanket rule for everybody. It's take that time, get it done properly, have somebody else look over it as well. I can write something and read it 500 times, and then someone else will pick it up and say, "Oh, you've missed this," or there's an error here. So having someone look over just to make sure that you have nailed it in every area is really, really good too, and making it easy to read.
Perfect. And can I add, don't use ChatGPT.
Really? Definitely not. You can tell.
Yeah, you can so tell, unless you know how to use it really well. Yeah, please don't use ChatGPT. As soon as I read something, I'm just like, please, can you do this yourself? Even if it's in broken English, try to do it yourself, because if we can tell, employers can tell as well.
Yeah. And it's not transparent, and it's not truthful, and it's not coming from who you are as a person either. So.
Yeah, 100%. And the other question, which is a very common one, is if someone is very skilled and educated and experienced in their home country, and they've come to Australia and they are happy to start in an entry-level position or a lower-level position because A, confidence, and B, they want to be more familiar with the Australian work culture before they're in a higher position. How do they apply for an entry-level position without looking overqualified?
Well, I think you've just said it in the question. Is basically saying that you understand that potentially it might be the qualifications don't match, or it's talking about, I know I don't have the Australian or experience. This is my experience in my home country. This is what I've done here. However, I really want to learn. I really want to make those connections. I want to find out what the Australian workplace is like. Happy to come in at an entry level and showcase my skills.
And would that be, sorry to interrupt, would that be the cover letter or the resume?
Cover letter.
And so here's another question for you. Do people read cover letters?
I hope so.
Me too.
I do. Cover letters are my favourite part, because I think that's where you really start to see, sometimes you can even get a person's personality comes through a little bit too. And it's, from my perspective, my cover letters to the employers are a little bit different. It talks more so about my perspective of my candidates and their skills and how they'll fit in, and the ideal company culture for them. So cover letters from my perspective are a little bit different.
She might have been disconnected, but that's okay. I can chat away till she comes back. So as Leah was saying, that yes, we do still need a cover letter. They're essential. Even if we don't think a recruiter is going to read it 100%, you can't take the risk. So you still need to write your cover letter. And it's an opportunity.
Am I back?
No, I was trying to wait. And it's an opportunity for you to tell be more personal in a cover letter.
Absolutely.
Well, and tell them why you want the job, why you like the company, what your situation is and what your story is.
And everyone loves to know how good they are. So for you to say why you want to work there, what you admire about the company, talk about their values and how your values align with them. They are like big ticks in a CV and an application, because you're talking about why you want and what value you can bring to them too.
Perfect. I'm so happy hearing this. It always gives me validation, because this is what I tell everyone to do. This is what I help everyone to do. So great. Is there any other advice you'd like to give, or anything else you'd like to talk about in terms of, people who are watching and they're feeling a bit frustrated? I have one last question, sorry. The job market now in December, should we continue to apply, or should we just take a chill and wait till January?
Oh, look, what I thought we were going through a quiet period, but there's still work out there. Don't give up. If there's a position out there, just apply for it. You can always follow up in January, but definitely, still apply in December. There's no harm in doing so. Businesses, I often find that actually January is a lot more choppier than in December. when it comes to applications. And people, the good thing about if you are successful in December, and if you do need to give notice if you are working, then it gives you that opportunity to take that notice and then start in the new year too. So no, definitely continue applying. And I guess my biggest takeaway is just don't give up. I know how disheartening it is, and I often have, and you would too, Nat, you have people come to you who are just so disheartened by the process, and they start to take it really personally, and it affects self-esteem. Just don't give up and get that support. You're not alone. There are services out there that can help you. So, to talk to people around you and find out what support's available in your cities.
Absolutely. That's great. I love that. Melissa's just asked a question, which is a good one.
Yes.
So how can she stand out among an average of 120 applicants that the job offers have nowadays?
It's crazy, isn't it? There are, that's a half of the issue. I get that from being a recruiter as well. There'll be some jobs I place, and there was one recently where it was 250 applicants, and trying to sort through those and try and decipher who the right fit is. I think have a good cover letter, have a CV that's easy to read as well. A lot of people will give up reading an application if it's not easy to read, if the format's not great. So it's something just as simple as the aesthetics of your CV is really, really important. As Nat said earlier, connect with them on LinkedIn if you can. Follow-up phone call, email, whatever it might look like, just to continue to be in their face and show interest is really important too.
Yeah. Prasad said it's 700 to 800 applications.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a recruiter in Singapore. I can tell you that much. That's insane.
So I think, connection, LinkedIn. And one thing I try and get people to do is call prior to submitting an application if there are contact details available, because quite often there aren't now.
Yes.
What's a question they could ask without being too vague and annoying? So what is an example question that they could ask?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I'm thinking of, what people will often ask for me as well. So I'll often get asked, okay, so well, they ask what are they looking for. They'll often give me a quick rundown and ask, do you feel as though my experience would be a good fit?
That's great.
It's a really easy one. That's a really tricky question because it's dependent. But I just think when you call somebody, speak with a really positive, happy tone. Say that I'm really interested in this position. This is my skill set. I'm going to send my application through. Would really love the opportunity to discuss my experience and skills with you further. Please take a look at my CV and I hope to hear from you. Something even simple along those lines too.
I love that. So I like that. What are you looking for? This is what my skill set is. Do you think I would align?
Yes.
To the ideal candidate. Perfect. Easy, right?
Easy. It's job search and training work is so much easier said than done, and it is a lot of work that goes into it. But please don't give up. You've got the most incredible skill set and the ability. Just keep going.
Keep going, absolutely.
And the right place will find you, or you will find the right place, and that's where you'll thrive and grow. Don't just take anything for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add?
Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope that there's just a little bit, if there's something in there that you took away today, then
there's so
really
much.
Yeah.
There's so much. The replay will be available on LinkedIn, but I'll also pop it onto YouTube on my website with subtitles, and you can share it anywhere if you want to, Leah. And I think there's so much wonderful, juicy, valuable information that I'll probably write it out as well so people can read about it as well. Can I ask one super quick last question? It's not to validate what I tell people, because I feel sometimes it does take more than one or two people to give people the information, if that makes sense. Like they need to hear it. So a career gap on a resume. So many times people will come to Australia working in marketing, as an example, for migration reasons, they cannot get a job. So they work in hospitality, as an example, for 2 or 3 years. They see that as a career gap. They see that as a gap on their resume. And I often say, you need to have it on your resume. Focus on your transferable skills. Tell them what you achieved. It's still skills that you've gained and something to be proud of. Is that enough? Or is there anything else they should do?
No, I think that's perfect. It's 100%. I even get that with my mums who are returning to work after 10 years.
Absolutely,
and they'll come to me and say, I don't have any skills. And I'm going, you crazy. Of course you do. So even though it's a career gap for you, you can look at those skills that you've learned, whether it's in hospitality or retail, customer service, in improving your English skills, if that's the case for you, or developing relationships, and you're talking about reliability, and you get a referee. Referees are also really important as well. So that's getting someone who's worked with you to be an advocate for you is really important too.
Yeah, perfect. Sorry to put that question in super quickly at the end.
All good.
But yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Leah. You've been wonderful. You've given such incredible, helpful information to everyone. And I hope everyone has found this valuable. I'm sure you have. If there's anyone in Adelaide, can they contact you with their resume?
100%. If you are here in Adelaide, absolutely. It's Champagne Recruitment. It's just champagnerecruitment.com.au. I'm on LinkedIn. You can send me a message that way as well. Would love to connect.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, Leah. Bye. Thank you, everyone. If you have questions, just let us know.